bought the boat, so now let's take you over a couple things so you know what you got over the years. The first thing to know is never start the boat out of the water. See, it has a system that it pulls in and shoots out. There's a plate underneath, and it's very well known with jet boats that if you run these things while it's out of the water, you can blow off the bottom plate of the boat. So never, ever, ever do that. Now, maintenance-wise, marinas, and you can buy a little thing that goes onto the top of the engine. You attach your hose, run water through it, and then you can work on the motor if you're into that while it's out of the water. But that's the only circumstance that you can run this while it's out of the water. So you can always turn it to, to the center position to see the fuel and test the lights or any sort of electrical things in the boats, but never do that as the main point about owning this boat. The other thing, let's start at the front here with the attachment of the trailer, and I'll take you over some things here. So the deal, the gist is this. The gist is this. So it's got an amazing system here where if it was off, you just pull this and you can then put it down. It locks in, and then you can just start cranking and crank it all the way up. This is quite a wobbly system and stuff, so you take it off, it could roll into your vehicle. So always put like a rock or something mounted here to protect that. But this is very well maintained and looked after, and it's got a good bolting system here. And sometimes it's a little bit on an angle, so you could take these bolts off and retighten them where it's straighter when it goes up instead of like on an angle. That's the only thing that I would recommend you could consider. But other than that, once it's on, you put it up and lock it into place, and you don't have to worry about that. The system here, we have the electrical, which it has its own electrical. You'll be taking it, and I have an adapter system, which puts in the available element to do that, because I have different tent trailers and different things. So essentially you need to connect a connector like this that runs into a brake control system if you plan on driving this, so lights will light up, and the lighting works just perfectly. So a brake control system installation, you can get it installed for a couple $100 and you should be good to go. But a maintenance of these things, you'll want to cover this through the winter. Put a baggie on it, put an elastic band to keep it nice. There's certain sort of oils you can oil these things up. Even the one that runs in on your vehicle, you're going to want to look after. See, there's some water in there from the other day or last night. So this stuff is corrosive, and you want to make sure that that's not happening. So I'm going to, this will dry out because it's quite humid and stuff, so it's okay. But we'll leave it with that and put that on. Again, when you're driving, you're going to want to bolt it so that it's up and not really hanging. I've had in the past these things fly off years ago for other things, but you want to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll give you a bolting system that can keep this on really well. That'll when you go to move it. And then they have these two chains here that I like crisscrossing. That's how they say crisscross them over, and then so it creates like a basket. So if somehow this did pop off, that's the system, that the proper way. There's a proper way to actually chain your vehicle, and I've reduced the length of it, but you can kind of turn them, twist them a bit, and then you get this kind of crisscrossy fashion to reduce the length. And that's good. You put it down, the way you go. I find that there's a sweet spot when you're rolling it up to actually put it on and then take it off, so that can help you to put this on to the back of your vehicle, which is a class 1 hitch that I got put on, but I think you can put like a class 3, I believe, for less poundage, because this vehicle can't really pull a big boat, but it should be enough. So moving along here, the system at this point is the pulley system here. So this is a brand new strap with this thing, but there's a little device here where you would just push it a bit and then take this, because right now it's locked, right? Like this is tight, but if I pushed it a bit and then unlocked it with this clip here, just push this down, then once this is down, then you can let it out. That's when you get it ready to put in the water, and then so you wouldn't get away from you, and then put the clasp out on it so it only let it out so far if you're launching this alone. Again, you got to take this one off first. This is the one that is attached to the vehicle. This is the one attached to the boat, but they're both on the boat, but this is the safety, so it can never slide off. And this is important to know. That's when you have it up to the right spot on your boat. This could have went a little further. You'll see a mark on the boat here of the darkness of this rubbing on the hull here. But but that kind of signifies where it is, and you want to keep it pretty even too. As you can see here down the side of the vehicle here, or the boat, I mean, you can see that it's on the second thing, so it's pretty balanced there on the boat and that side too. You don't want it where it's like kind of up on one side when you're driving. It's just not good for aerodynamics, the wind factor and stuff like that. You have your license number on the side of the boat, and away you go. So when you do store it, you put it up on the hitch and you roll it up, and you give it that angle. I think I talked to, so it's like that, where the nose is up and it's going down. So when it rains, the water will pour out the back, because you won't have the little bolts in the back. So let's go around the side here. So we're looking. Again, you have your thing tied on here. You have your anchor in here. You can put other things in. I put it in a dry bag before you put it in there if you have any storage item, but that's in there. And I think one of the screws can be tightened in the top bolt area here. And I think there's a couple screws in this first drink holder I've left in there, because I was trying to take the seat off to redo the seat covers, but it's all there, sort of thing. This seat, when you go to storage or leave it outside, I would again take it up, and you just kind of like lift it up on both sides and then pull it this way, and it kind of locks in, kind of thing like that. Not locked, but adheres in. There's a little bag underneath that you can put storage in for the boat, and little things that when you're going out for your day of boating. Seat is all good. So coming around here, this is where you put your light in at night. Don't really have to. Lights at the front do enough job. It's just one of the things you might want to do. So one of the things that I talked to you about was it's always, you take these plugs out when you have them at home and leaving it in the driveway or whatever. But when you go to put the boat in, make sure to put them in. Everyone learns first lesson sometimes with their boats. Then they put it in the engine compartment, starts filling up. You're like, oh no, get it out of the water. We got to put those things in. Or you just, best thing, rush into the water and screw them in right away to stop it. And then you got to pull it out and then let the water out so it'll drain out. But that's how you leave it when it's just sitting. Don't hit this thing. This is the reverse and forward thrust. And this thing right here is the item that when it's down, it will tell you how fast you're going. If you're going and you don't see how fast you're going, that's because you forgot to put this down. You can do this when you're in the water or out of the water, whatever, it's all good. You put the plate on this side. I'll be taking my plate. You'll have to get your own plate. Let's see. These things, these hooks here, up here, are good for straps. So I didn't strap it on, so I'm going to have to strap it on to the trailer, up and around a ratchet strap and down the other side. So that I'm going to end up doing that also when I go to travel. I didn't put them on last night. I was in a rush to get home. It was dark. But not good to go anywhere without this strapped to the trailer on both sides. Through that, down, and there's some hooks, a little hooking mechanism at the side of the trailer here, which you can see, and on that side also. Always do that when traveling with this trailer because it can bounce, and not a good thing. So, going on. We have this one to tie onto the back of the dock, and we have one at the front that's under the seat at the front. This is a great pad. Do not use a pressure washer to clean this. You'll get the lines in it that I did the first time, and I've had to recover this over the years. So just be gentle on that. This is a great little platform for water, for sunbathing essentially. And let's go there. Bring this up. It's on hinges. And we'll talk a bit about the engine and what's going on here. Okay. So, the starter's here. We've redid the starter, which is like brand new. The engine's brand new from about 5 years ago. And the starter, and there's new brushes and stuff. There's a spring on it. I hear that the spring could be fixed and put a better spring on for the starter to kick over better. Meh, your call. Still works. The battery's good. It can be recharged every season. I like to take the positive off when it's being left and take it in through the winter and make sure to just freshen it up every so often, a couple times a year. This is a 40-liter gas tank, brand new I put in. that takes high test. Use high test, high octane gas fuel. It costs a bit more, but the engine spark, it likes to spark over a lot better. And you put 450 milliliters, half of one of those oil things from the store, 2-stroke, I believe, the marine oil. I'll give you a half of it, the case also, and go from there. There's a pump down there to press, a little thing at the bottom to feel the pressure. If you get, and just feel it. If it's really squishy, then get it going. It usually isn't. Solid is good. And there should be a little bit of oil and gas, mainly gas, in that little container that you can see, and it should be like a clear green, like a greenish tint from the oil and the gas mixture, 50-to-1 ratio. And there's an oil or water bilge down there that if the water does build up, it will kick on. If the buoyancy goes up, there's too much water in the back, and it'll start removing it for you as part of it and attached to the battery. Things kick over. Things tend to take time to kick over. We've got the areas here to put stuff in and put your beach supplies in a bag and stuff. Try not to have anything too loose so it could fall down, like a piece of metal or a chain or some sort of necklace that could get into the engine. You don't want anything flying around in the back here that could get into this high moving parts engine and cause any issues in general. These areas here are where you always start your boat. You always turn the blower on and to blow it out for a couple minutes. But I raise this up when I go to start a boat, so it gets all the gas fumes out, so there's no explosions. That's just a common practice with all boating. Always start your blower first and go from there. So this video is getting up to 11 minutes. So now I'm going to make a specific video of how to start the boat and stuff like that, so that one you can reference, other than this kind of like maintenance overview. Other than that, I've given you some hull cleaner. You can clean at the end of the season. It's not like it's seawater or anything, but you can look it over. There's always fiberglass. If you scratch it up, you can always fix it. It's an easy thing. Fiberglass is rough to work with, but it's good to work with and keep well. This weather stripping around here keeps the water out, and just make sure that other than down at the bottom there where it's kind of coming off, it doesn't matter, the water's still going to rush out. It's a good place. See that bolt on top there? See that little like brass bolt? That's where there's a little nozzle thing that you can unscrew that and then screw a thing in that you can attach a garden hose to, and then that's where you put water into the engine when you're up on dry land to run it while you're working on it to test, instead of having to have it in the water when you're fixing it. And that's the little area there. A thing that I really want to say: the spark plugs are on the other side. And how they're connected. They're all connected in a certain order, and you got to make sure that you keep them in that order. Always, never let anyone touch your boat and start working on it. Always record how things were set up prior, because someone did change them and it didn't start, and I had to take it to a guy and he said, "Yo, someone changed the order of them." So there's specific orders to everything with an engine, and keep it to spec. Right now it's to spec because I had it at the Owen Sound Marina, which I'll give you the documentation for that. It was totally upkept. And that's a rule I learned, and I'm just passing that rule on to you. Always have paddles. Always let someone know where you're going, and always call someone and have a good phone charged and stuff like that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. This locking mechanism is I put on, just making sure that it's tight and stuff like that. So you can put some electric tape on it, so around the end, so it's less of a wiggle sort of thing. I was going to do that just to let you know it's something that you could do around the end to give it more of a snug thing when it comes in here, and keeps it from even moving even a bit. It's all best to have everything solid. With regards to the trailer, I talked to you about cleaning the bearings on the tires. They got things in there called bearing buddies, and bearing buddies go slip on to cover it, because this goes into the water, right? And so you'll want to take this off, and this all has to be cleaned in there and taken off. You might even want to put in new ones if you plan on using this trailer a lot. Otherwise, just maintain it. And, maintaining your stuff is part of the game. Man with the most toys wins, but man with the most toys has to look after the most toys. That's what I've learned. These lights back here could use, I think the other one is exposed, or the other one you can buy a couple for $10 and put new lights on, so they're in sealed, like totally waterproof. Would recommend that if you want to clean that up and fix that up. Okay, let's now move to the next one with regards to the starting of the boat.